Hi, my name is Jon Sato, and I'm your Interim Superintendent for the Free Methodist Church in Southern California. I've been serving in the Free Methodist Church in Southern California since 2013. Prior to that, I was a Free Methodist pastor's kid. My dad was a Free Methodist minister in the Pacific Coast Japanese Conference, a sister conference of the Free Methodist Church in Southern California. He started in Glendale, California, and when I was 4, or about to be 4, we moved up north to the East Bay Free Methodist Church. It was there that I spent my all years until high school before I came back down to Azusa Pacific University for college, and that's where I got linked back up with Azusa Pacific University as well as the Free Methodist Church in Azusa. Jen and I met at Azusa Pacific University. We were both on the track team. My roommate at the time was a pole vaulter, and she was a pole vaulter as well. We do a yearly trip with Mexico Outreach and the track team, and Jen came along, and that's where we met, and the rest is history. We have 3 children, Adeline, Charlotte, and Eleanor. Adeline is 5, going on 6. Charlotte is about to be 3 this month, and Eleanor just turned 9 months. Junior year of college, after that Mexico Outreach trip, my roommate and I actually led the Mexico Outreach trip where I met my wife, Jennifer. That's when I felt a call to ministry, and I applied for Azusa Pacific Seminary. At that time, it was Heidegger Graduate School of Theology. I graduated from Azusa Pacific Graduate School of Theology, and now it's Azusa Pacific Seminary. You know, I think the best class that I took in seminary was a pastoral counseling class. I went in there with 2 friends. We were on the younger side of the MDiv track, and thinking that we were going to be taught about pastoral counseling, but really we were actually going to be counseled by the professor. And in that course, I did a lot of discovery, a lot of things with the family of origin, realizing that a lot of ministry starts with yourself and self-discovery, self-awareness, those types of things. So it started me on a journey of understanding my own mental, emotional, and spiritual health, and that has been something that has been constant throughout my adult life. I know I grew up in a privileged family home, being a pastor's kid, but there's a lot of trauma that also comes with being a pastor's kid. There's a lot of being looked at in a bubble, expectations, especially in a situation where my dad was a solo pastor, especially coming also from an Asian community, a Japanese American community. There's a ton of expectations on young boys, young men, in those situations. And so a lot of that was working through what are the expectations that I have on my own life, what I define as success and unsuccess, how I view love, how I view God's love towards me, how I receive it, how I don't receive it, how I feel it, how I don't feel it. And just understanding a lot more of yourself and understanding how the things that have happened in your life and your experiences in your life also shape the way that you view the Lord and view God and God's love. All 3 years during my Master's of Divinity, I was working at Foothill Community Church. I was doing both executive pastoring with the gathering, as well as doing some of the youth work as well. In your Master's of Divinity, you do what you call as a philosophy of ministry, which is your final paper and your defense thesis. During that time, I met Glenn Pryor, and we started having discussions about ministry and what executive ministry looked like, and he offered me a position following graduation. I think during that time, it was really formative for us. We were dealing with a lot with Jen's health, a lot of coming out of the college bubble and going into life. We were getting married. There was a lot of external stressors. That's part of why I feel called to this position, understanding the pressures of a pastor, understanding the pressures of a pastoral family. I think originally when I was asked to start working for the conference, I was young in my career. I kind of didn't understand everything that was going on, but I knew the experience of the local church by being a pastor's kid and living that experience. And I knew that was something that I wanted to be a part of. I loved the local church. I loved local ministry. I think at that time, Glenn gave me a title of executive minister, and I was really just shadowing him, working with the conference staff, trying to understand it all during that time. I was really young in ministry. I had a lot of idyllic thoughts, but there was no expectations. As things continued to progress, responsibilities continued to be put onto my plate, just like any young minister. In this time of discernment throughout the last couple of months, it led me to a lot of times with the Lord, and I had to ask myself, where do I feel called? But as we've kind of grown in this, there's an expectation that my competencies are also my calling. And I've realized that more and more, just because I'm competent in the area, that's not necessarily the way that God has designed me. But for us, as we prayed into this position and prayed into the superintendency, also as we have worked here for the last almost decade, we realized that the superintendency and local church pastoring are two vastly different things. And one does not equate the other, and neither are hierarchical. The thing that we're passionate about is the local church, and we want to continue to partner with the local church and think that our gifts can actually help the local church pastors and lead pastors, both staff and leads, be better evangelists for the kingdom in their communities.